Welcome to the Better and Better podcast. I'm your host, Inslee. This is a podcast dedicated to you getting better and better. I'm here with Honesty B.
Hey.
And we are going to be talking about picking and pursuing your passions today. So, Honesty is a singer, songwriter, actress, a philanthropist, assistant, creator, creative director, event planner, extraordinaire, you name it. This girl knows how to do it. Welcome.
Thank you. We like to say just multifaceted. It's just easier to say.
Yes, multifaceted, multi-talented, and I'm so glad to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Yes. You wear so many hats. You've recently worked as a script supervisor. Of course, like I said, you're a singer, songwriter, been an assistant, an actress. How did you begin discovering your passions?
I believe that my passion is being able to create. So anything that I'm able to create is going to be a passion of mine, or because I love to create, period. So I think that's what it is. And just trying new things, see if I like it, see if I don't like it, see if I'm good at it, see if I'm not good at it. I would say like my mom was always very like adamant about trying something to see if you like it or if you're good at it. So that's pretty much how I discovered the different things for the most part.
That's beautiful.
Trial and error, shoot.
And then you have that support from your mom. I've met her mom, by the way. Like, your mom is amazing. Like, she's literally your number one fan.
Yeah.
Like, when you have that kind of support, you have that kind of backing that a lot of people don't have. Like, what challenges do you actually face when you're working in these multiple industries, and like, how do you overcome it?
There are so many challenges. Oh my gosh. First of all, if you're attractive, that's going to be a challenge within itself. In entertainment, especially because everybody's thing is who sees you, who knows you, who sees you, and what have you. And then the talent comes second. So if you're attractive, and then there's people that's like less attractive. So there's envy and jealousy.
Yeah.
From men and women. Okay, like either way.
Man, girl, tell me about the man.
I'm just saying the men will even like try to, cause then they're like, oh well, she's too fine, she's too attractive, I don't want nobody else to get hands on her, so they gatekeep.
And that puts you in a point, I think, of self-reflection too. When people treat you a certain way, it kind of makes you stand back and look at like, okay, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, why? Especially when you're nice, and I know her, she's a nice person. Like, when you're such a nice person, you have to kind of sit back and do that self-reflection and go, okay, maybe it's not what I put into it. Maybe it's kind of some of those other things that somebody else, that
Exactly.
they added to the game.
Exactly. And it takes a while to really like hone in on that, because at times like a challenge would be self-doubt, because it's like, dang, I see less talented people get put on, get the deals, get all the things, and I'm like, I'm a good person, I'm a good human being, I know I'm talented. I'm saying that I'm reminded of, I remind people of some of the greats and things of that nature, but why am I not?
What's not clicking?
What's not? The math ain't mathing. Like, what? Why? So there, like I said, there are different challenges. So there are, the envy and jealousy. There are just if you're attractive, and then like everybody want to hit on you, and they feel like, oh, that's a way to get them on. If you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Then there's like, well, damn, I went to school for this shit. I'm sorry, can we curse on here?
Yeah, girl.
Okay.
Shit.
So it's like, I have all the knowledge, I have all the skills to do this. Plus on the back end, I know the business side of things. So you can't like shorthand me, because I know what the fuck going on. But then you got people that would want to get in your pants. And if you don't, then they're not going to help you or whatever. So there's many challenges. So I just be learning to pivot.
That, and I love the point of pivoting. I think that's like a really interesting talking point about like this episode for picking and pursuing your passions is like pivoting requires transferable skills. So for anybody in the audience that doesn't know what transferable skills are, those are the things that we can do in one job or one industry that you can take somewhere completely different, and those skills are still really, really valid. So for a perfect example, I have one of my closest friends is a stay-at-home mom. She was once in the healthcare industry, but now her child actually needs a lot of healthcare attention. And I'm like, girl, you are actually ordering, running inventory.
Yeah.
So like, she's a stay-at-home mom, yes, but she has those transferable skills of actually running her own medical center basically out of her house.
Yeah.
So pivoting and transferable skills, like, how do you know what those things are? How do you know, like, do you convince yourself that you have those skills and it'll work somewhere else? Does somebody else convince you? Like, what? How do you identify those things for yourself?
I think it's mainly, okay, I'll put it this way. Sometimes it could be people like giving me little nuggets like, oh, maybe you should try this out. Maybe you should try this out. And then sometimes it's like, oh, that seems interesting. I wonder if I can do that. Or, it's just this. I can do that. So it's most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's the latter. But sometimes it's people putting those nuggets in my ear like, oh, well, maybe I could. And I'll ponder on it sometimes, because sometimes you don't know people's intentions. Like, are they really trying to help, or is it like, is it a roadblock or like a test, like to veer off, or is it a nugget to help me get further? So that's why I kind of hold off on going with what other people suggest all the time, because you just never know if that's for you or not.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with those like transferable skills, I actually learned about that from this book. So the book is called What Color Is Your Parachute? And for anybody that's out there that's feeling like stagnant, you're feeling maybe like you're a little bit limited, or maybe you've just gotten complacent, like you're kind of in a certain spot and you want to reach some new heights, I really recommend the book What Color Is Your Parachute? So they talk about transferable skills, and like, I think for me, I am just a little bit delusional. Like, I'm like, oh, well, if I've done, for example, I taught in middle school. I was like, well, if I could teach middle schoolers, I can obviously produce a show, because if I can get a bunch of little people who don't want to do something to do something,
yeah,
I could probably get people who do want to do something to like participate and cooperate, and like it would probably be easier. So I think for me also, it's a little bit of like, I identified this concept from this book, and then I also just add in with that like a little bit of like kind of almost like selling it to myself, like, oh, you could do that, you could totally do that,
exactly.
And then once I've convinced myself, then it's so much easier to also convince other people, like, oh yeah, I can do that. And like, girl, sometimes I don't even know if I can do it yet, but I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And like, if I can't do it, I can at least ask the right questions to like get me along the way. So back to all of your hats, back to all of your things. What is the one thing that if there is one, what is the one thing that you feel like is like your core passion? Or do you think they all kind of feed into each other?
I think entertainment is my core passion, or creativity is my core passion. And trust me, it took me a while to get here, because like growing up, I used to be like, oh my gosh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I can't focus on one thing, because I like and love doing multiple things at one time. Like one day I want to draw or paint, one day I want to dance, one day I want to sing, one day I want to pick up my instrument and play, like one day I want to do something else. Like it just varies depending on the mood, depending on the day. And growing up, you would hear like, you got to focus on one thing. And I used to think something was wrong with me, because I'm like, well, shit, I can do a lot of things. I can't just focus on one thing, because I'm good at a lot and I like doing these things. So after a while, I kind of focused on being a musician, and then like a singer. Like I got over my shyness of singing, and then I focused on being an artist. And then I got really hip with working in film, and like my master's degree was specializing in entertainment. The degree was entertainment business, but the actual focus was music supervision, which is in film and TV. So it was like, okay, I can still.
Wait a second. Can you slow down? Okay. So what is music supervision? Hold on. We're not all film majors here.
Okay.
So what is music supervision?
To simplify it, music supervision is the person that places the music in TV and film. So they place the audio or the music, because not the audio, the music to the motion picture.
And so is that like a legal thing? Like you're just finding the songs and like reaching out to their teams? Like what does that look like?
It is a legal thing. You definitely have to make sure you can license the song to the visual, and reaching out to the team and having contracts signed. And if it's a specific portion of the song that's going in the movie, that needs to be detailed. Like, we're using this minute or this second to this second. If you go over that, then you're breaking the contract. So yes. And then the artist, depending on the contract, will get royalties or not, like off of every time the movie or show airs, or it can be one large lump sum. So it just depends.
Then also, like, back to the question was like, do they all feed into each other? It really kind of sounds like your music career, like, kind of led you into your film career. Like,
it did.
Was a lead in.
It kind of did. It was a guy that came to FAM my last semester. I'm about to graduate, and one of the alumni comes back and was like, oh yeah, I do this. But then he was like, well, also I was the music supervisor on the movie Takers. And I'm like, I didn't even know that existed. And then I was like, oh, I can
really
go.
said something right there.
Yeah.
It's the exposure of knowing
it's
something
the exposure exists. Like my literal last semester.
Because imagine you had known like the whole time, or at least even like a year earlier, like, I could maybe want to do this job. Like, you probably would have tried it on some small short films or like done different things. So yeah.
Or just like kind of taking it. Me knowing that could have also taken the pressure off of, oh, I want to be this type of artist, where I can just focus on creating music for TV and film, because it's people that do that and get the bag.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And you don't have to be the next Rihanna or Beyonce.
And I think that's like also another thing that I'm realizing was talked about in the book was self-reflection, like knowing your skills, knowing what you're good at. And like, okay, for those of y'all that are listening, can you picture like a Venn diagram with the 3 circles? Mm-hmm. Remember the Venn diagram with the 3 circles? And so there was one that's like what you're good at or what your skills are, what you like to do or love to do. And then the third one was what the world needs. And then like in the middle, that's like the sweet spot.
Right.
I feel like it's a matter of that self-reflection. Yeah. And that's something that is talked about a good bit in the book. And we'll get to that a little bit later in the episode of how you can kind of go about doing the self-reflection and kind of visualizing what it is that you want. Because I think all of us aren't as lucky to like meet a person that does the thing we want. Right. We just kind of have to try and fail and see. And that's okay. That's totally okay. So how do you balance it all? Like, how are you balancing all of these hats, all of these talents? And like, obviously you got to a point where you're like, okay, I know what I'm good at and kind of want to pursue those things. But like, how do you find balance in finding time for yourself and finding times for getting better at all of these different things you're good at?
Still a work in progress. Yes. Still a work in progress. I'm learning how to balance for real. Like, I'm learning that, okay, I don't know if some of y'all know, some of y'all don't know, but working on film during production is long hours. And when I'm on production, I don't want to do nothing else.
What's long hours? Like 9 to 5? What's long hours?
At minimum 12 hours a day. At minimum. And then you mentioned that I'm a script supervisor. So being a script supervisor is very mentally exhausting. And when I tell you everybody want to come up to you and ask a question, like everybody, like people will try not to mess with you because it's a lot of like detail oriented work. So when I go home, like I don't want to do shit else, because at that point my brain has shut the fuck down.
Yeah, it's busted. It's definitely busted. And then also, side note, because this could be a good point of exposure for some of our listeners, because there's definitely like a lot of young creatives that would love this exposure. What is a script supervisor? Like, you put us onto some new stuff today.
That's cool. A script supervisor, uh, is in charge of, this is just one out of the many things, but continuity. So, for instance, this is a big example that people remember a lot. In the Tyler Perry movie, A Fall from Grace, I believe that was called, when the main character was in prison or jail and her rig was one way, and then they turned the camera and they turned it back and it was another way.
Now she pulled a Ray J.
Yeah. Those are continuity errors. Okay.
So you're the person that keeps that from happening.
Yes.
You're like, girl, fix it.
Fix
it.
On during production, I am looking at the monitors and I am making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. I'm making sure that the actresses and actors are saying their lines properly, or if they're even on brand of what the line is. Because some script supervisors are very stickler. And for me, and getting to know your director, because you have to know like what the director wants. If they're in the ballpark of what the script is, then I'm not gonna sit there and like correct them, because it might not be within their language. It's like, who am I to say, are you supposed to say it like this when it's not even the type, like how they talk. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Or how their character talks. So I'm paying attention to lines. I'm paying attention to hair, makeup, costume, set deck, all of the things. Whatever is on the monitor, I'm paying attention to. And also keeping the director and first AD like, okay, if they gave me a shot list, meaning all the different angles they want to shoot for a specific scene, okay, we have to make sure, I'm paying attention to the shot list. Hey, we didn't get this. We're losing. Most of the time, it's the first AD's job with timing and making sure they stay on time with the different scenes they want to shoot throughout the day. But also, the script supervisor has to make sure we got every part of that scene before we move on. So it's a lot of stuff at one time.
Got you. That's what I'm like, even as you're explaining it, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, okay, so she's watching the monitor. She's like looking down, physically reading a script. And then she's like watching the people off to the side to make sure that like they're in play. Like literally, like I'm imagining if, I don't know, a person in a bright yellow shirt in the background was in one spot, they need to be there again.
Exactly.
And so it's like, I could imagine at the end of a day like that, it's like, I am overwhelmed. I have sensory overload. I don't want to look at anything. I don't want to listen to anything. So like, of course I could see you taking those pauses and like kind of taking those steps back. What are like other things that you do to kind of find balance, especially when you're finding balance between your passions?
Yeah. I will say, I think these last 2 years, to be honest, has been like a reset. So I'm like, it's almost like a rediscovery of myself. Because some of the things that I used to like to do, or music or things of that nature, it's not really appealing to me anymore. So I think I am in a season of rediscovery of self. So I am still learning. Like, right. I am learning about, okay, what's the next direction I want to take my music? You know what I'm saying? But I'm also grateful that working on these films, that I get to meet these producers and these writers and executive producers and directors and things of that nature who are interested in learning who I am and what I do, that I get offered to, hey, well, you make music? Maybe you should submit music for this film. Oh, you want to act? Okay, well, maybe I can put you in a part where we don't really need the script supervisor. You know what I'm saying?
And I will say there is something beautiful to, like, Honesty has one of those personalities that if you ever work with her, you're going to want to work with her again. Like, that's literally how we met, was we held a job together. So we both worked at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the suites. We were like, I feel like the way I explain it to people is like we were glorified bottle service girls. Like we were waitresses, really. Right. Like the outfit was not cute. It was very much like
hated
slacks and like a plaid shirt. Like it was bad. But
slip resistant shoes.
The money was good. The times were good. The people we met, like everything, the experience was really, really good. So working with her, she's just one of those people that like you're gonna want to work with her again. So I could see how you would also be able to like very quickly, like even if it's not necessarily a transferable skill. Like somebody will want her to just be like, okay, well, let's give you a shot and see if you can be good at it.
Yeah.
So I think that in and of itself is a skill that you have. But I'm sorry. I just wanted to highlight you in that way. You're saying about like balancing your passions.
I'm still trying to figure it out. Being in a semi-new relationship, you got to rediscover yourself because you're sharing your life with someone else. So then it's like, okay, what do I like to do again? And then what do I like to do with this person? And how do we separate something that I like to do that he doesn't necessarily like to do, but it's still okay for me to enjoy it? Mm-hmm. It's
splitting that time and like finding, and the way I always imagine balance is like, people always love to think like stuff's supposed to be like 50-50, 70-40. Like I know you guys have heard these conversations, but I feel like real balance is like scales, right?
Yeah.
So like sometimes this side is heavier, sometimes that side is heavier, but like it always finds equilibrium. Like it finds that balance.
Yeah.
So as we're balancing the scales, we're trying all of our passions, we're figuring out what to pick and pursue. And again, we are going to go through a little exercise a little bit later on visualizing, and like if you were like me, I didn't know what I wanted. I think this is the perfect exercise to do as we're balancing our skills, as we're picking and pursuing our passions. What has been the most fulfilling part of your journey? Like what has been the thing that you're like that one?
I don't know yet. Because I have, not really. Not that I'm having a conversation in my head.
I'm like, not include me.
Right. It's
tell
like,
us, girl, tell us.
So I was thinking the first time I saw my name in the credits and I cried and I was like, oh my gosh, like my first time seeing my name in the credits, that really... Like, I'm never going to have that again, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm never going to have that feeling again until, like, well, no, because I seen it in a theater. So it's just like, the first time I seen my name, it was on Aspire TV. And, sometimes on TV, the movie TVs, they're not going to show credits for real. They'll just go to a commercial or go to the next thing. And it actually came on and I like cried. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, there's my name as a music supervisor. Like first time ever. So that was cool. But also like when I make music, I'm like, oh shit, I made that. So there's always that too. So I don't know. 'Cause with being a script supervisor, I get my name in the credits, but we're not really recognized like that. Like, there's no award for best script supervisor. Like, there's no award for best edit, like continuity. Like, there's
no way we would know either. Like, people don't have the original script versus the final product.
Yeah, so it's just like we're hardly recognized, and I'm starting to realize that I like to get recognized for the work that I do. Like, growing up, people are like, oh, you should be humble, and it's like I don't want to be humble no more, cause like I put the fucking work in and time and mental capacity to help make this movie look like what it look right now, and I don't get recognition for real. So I'm like, I love doing this. I love being around production, but it's time to pivot again. But people love me as a script supervisor because they like I do it very well. But I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I need to get back in front of the camera because people need to see this face.
Yes, I love that. We love attention. Like, why not? And I mean, I think that's the thing too. Is like people also love to make it seem like that's a bad thing to want attention. But like, again, we're about to go through this exercise in a second. Knowing the things you need that actually fulfill you is important.
Yeah.
Like knowing what it is that's going to keep your cup full is super, super important.
Yeah. Because I was playing myself this whole time. I was like, oh, I can be in the background. I could be behind the scenes. And then like now I'm just like, I'm behind the scenes, but I'm not getting what I need.
Mm-hmm. And we need to be fulfilled. Like we need our cup full. So... we talked a little bit about doubts and fear earlier, and you're talking about wanting to step back out there and be in front and be an actress. What setbacks have you encountered along the way in picking and pursuing this new passion?
Getting used to not getting callbacks or getting no's when you send in auditions. You know what I'm saying?
Rejection is a big one.
Yeah. And people talk about it like, it's a normal thing, but like I watched a documentary, Demi Lovato has a documentary on Hulu about child stars and just like how it affects them mentally, like their mental health.
Yeah, she talks about like how they talked about her weight and all kinds of things.
Yeah. So it's like you literally have to get used to being rejected or not perfect because she's like, the first time when they were kids and they did a photo shoot, then it came out and it's like, oh, do I look like that? But then she's like, I look in the mirror and I don't look like that because they did so much editing to it. So it's like in this industry, you have to get used to being scrutinized and judged and rejected and all these other things. And it's just like, I guess that would be the struggle because I've auditioned, not as much. I'm still like getting into it and learning. I did take a few acting classes and I want to do some more or whatever. And I've had people tell me that I'm really good at it, but then it's like, I'm not getting picked up. So, but that's about it. Just like getting used to the rejections and,
And I mean, I have my own personal rejection stories. Oh my God. Like one thing I can say is I can swing a job. I can get a job, but baby, I have gotten fired. I have gotten so fired. Have you been fired before?
Low key fired.
Oh my God. I got fired. Let me tell you guys. So, okay, quick story. I got fired twice in a row, like 2 months in a row within the first 30 days of me working there. So one of them was, and I was telling you this earlier, one of them, I was working at a doctor's office and the doctor was starting this app. I'm doing like digital marketing and media consulting and like other stuff for them. And he's like, oh yeah, go look at my app before we put out a commercial, before we put like this idea and this campaign together. Go look at my app, find all the bugs. You have like a week. I was like, great, that's plenty of time. I come back with a laundry list and he literally fired me on the spot. He like yelled at me and then was crazy. Leave. And then another job, like right behind that, they hired me for social media strategy. I'm like, great, I am going to do that. I get there, I start pointing things. I'm like, so you need to do this with your strategy. You need to do that. Like become a little bit more open. Also working for the social team at, I can't say where it was. They will out their legal will so come for me. But working for the social team at this place, it was not the easiest place to work for. They were under a lot of fire a lot of the time. So me trying to be on the right side of history and pointing certain stuff out as a PR person, like, hey, these are things we need to consider. Yeah. I think that put me in some tough spots politically at jobs where I did end up with that rejection. And like, oh my God, I had to like, it took a while to bounce back. And so I want to ask, like, how do you bounce back from rejections? How do you bounce back from like your doubts?
From rejections, I don't really take it to heart. It's just be like, okay, well, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I just look at it as, okay, it's not meant for me. Mm-hmm. I know sometimes it could be like you just weren't good enough, but but 9 times out of 10, I'll just do one of those things where it's just like, okay, God, it wasn't meant for me. Show me what is meant for me, or help me prepare for things that are meant for me. Because for acting too, it's like it don't even be like you didn't do well. You probably just didn't look like the character that they had in mind.
That's such a perfect point, is like being the right fit.
Yeah.
And like definitely in those jobs where I got fired, I was not the right fit for those jobs, nor were those jobs the right fit for me. Mm-hmm. Like I'm actually kind of like in the last, I'd say 3 years, gotten into spaces where I'm finding jobs that are like just the right fit with this visualization exercise, literally. Because of this, I figured out what I'm supposed to do. Okay. Straight up. So like once I found those things, it kind of, like you said, made it so much more evident, like that literally was not for me. Yeah. Like that was not supposed to happen. Like I just need to be put in place of what I should be doing and what I do need to have happen. So before we go further, I think we should kind of pause, do our visualization exercise, and then I want to talk about your work as a script supervisor.
Okay.
Okay.
Get into it.
So with the visualization exercise, And guys, I'm going to save you so much time from reading this book. Again, What Color is Your Parachute? I highly recommend. They do come out with a new version every single year. And I want to say the book is only like $7 or $10. But I'm going to save y'all a lot of time by going through this visualization exercise with y'all really, really quickly. So it is called the flower exercise. So imagine in your mind that there is a flower that has 7 petals on it, right? And so we are going to fill in these petals, and the petals on this flower are pretty much going to tell us like what the center is and like what our goal and our thing is going to be. So for me, and I learn from the greats. I was always told to learn from the greats. Oprah says this thing about visualizing is like you have to see yourself winning the award.
Yeah.
You have to feel it, smell it, like you have to see it, and then it just makes it so much easier to get there. So like this is basically what we're doing with our flower petals. First flower petal, we're going to consider who are your preferred types of people to work with. So pause for a minute and kind of think, who are your preferred types of people to work with?
I'm going to write it down because I'll forget by the time we get to petal 5.
So we're thinking of who do we want to work with? Me personally, I like working with chatty people who are silly little gooses. I cannot work around people that are like overtly like uptight. Like I want us to be highly productive, but also like I do need a 5-minute kiki like per 4 hours.
I feel like, who do I like? I like working with fun people. Like people that don't take things seriously, that aren't like sticklers and want to follow every last rule in the rule book. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, have some, some wiggle room.
Yes. Petal number 1 is what type of people do you want to work with? Second petal is what can you do and what do you like to do? What are your skills? So you have a long, this is a big petal for you. And for me, I'm trying to grow my petal out. I feel like I do have a lot of skills, but I'm for sure trying to grow my petal out. But like I could think of like, okay, I know I'm good with like entertainment. I know I'm good with business. I know I'm good with numbers. I know I'm good with public relations. For me, though, that would kind of be my petal. So I know like, okay, I'm looking at like I want to work with fun people for the first petal. And for my second petal, I knew that I was good at and loved working in entertainment, kind of like you said, like creative spaces. So first petal, preferred people. Second petal is about our skills and what we love doing and are good at. Third petal, what are your favorite working conditions? Because you talked about long hours on sets. Are these our preferred, like, do you want to like work a big burst of a movie and then like chill for the rest of the year? Like, what is your preferred working conditions?
If it's along the lines of script supervisor, then I will probably need like 2 weeks in between every movie if I'm like doing that consistently. Now, if I'm like acting on the other side, then I feel like I can do back to back because you have downtime. As a script supervisor, you don't really get a downtime unless it's lunch break or they're switching to a new scene where they gotta get the right camera set up.
Flip it, as they say.
Yeah, flipping the world, like everything. If it's a whole new setup, then I'll have a little bit of downtime.
But even when they call cut, guys, she's still working.
Yeah.
Like she's still working. So preferred working conditions is like, maybe are you a fast-paced person? Do you like office hours, long hours, like general sense?
I would say, okay, out the office. So
not at a desk.
Not at a desk.
Okay.
I got to be able to move around or, not be in a place for too long. So even if like, of course, on a set, like we may be at a location for a few days or we might be at the same location for the duration of the movie, but it's not like
never the same thing
for like
every day.
5 months. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't mind that for 2-3 weeks and then I'm doing something else and then doing something else and somewhere else. So like not an office job, the long hours, it doesn't really feel like work when I'm on production. So I don't mind the 12 hours. I mind if I don't get paid.
It is a bit like a fever dream though. It's almost like being at like summer camp or something.
Yeah.
Like working those hours. It does feel like, I don't know, working on a film set is unique because it's like its own world within a world, and like So I totally get those long hours kind of wash away until you like actually sit in your car and you're like, oh my God, it is 16 hours later. But okay, so preferred people, fun. Skills, plenty. Favorite working conditions, busy, fast-paced, energetic, dynamic. So now our fourth petal of this flower exercise is, what are your preferred levels of responsibility and salary? So you don't have to tell us what money you might need to make. And this is for a lot of us maybe going to be hypothetical, because I want the viewers, I want the listeners to think. I want them to have and let's give them a second to think. What are your preferred kinds of people? What can you do? What do you love to do? What are your skills? What are your favorite working conditions? And then what are your preferred levels of responsibility and salary? Like, reflect on that salary one. So, okay, when it comes to preferred levels of responsibility, though, for me, I realize I do like being very responsible at work. I very much want to be in charge, even on the bad days. Like, I crave it. I'm like, yes, put me in charge. And if it goes badly, I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to own that. Like, it feels good to be, I don't know, like, I want to be responsible for stuff. So, like, that was, like, a weird learning experience for me, was, like, I became a teacher and then realized I like being responsible for other people. That's jacked up. Like, you would think, like, I would go into it being like, oh, I love little people and I want to, like, be a teacher. No, I just needed a job, guys. This is after I got fired the 2 times, okay? I needed a job desperately, and they let me be a teacher. I was so excited to, like, have the learning experience, but I was like, I do not want to be responsible for these little people. And then when I started doing it, and I was like, oh my God, like, but I am their mom when they're here. And, like, they need me. Like, they want to come in my classroom and give me a hug and, like, see that smile on my face. And, like, they want to interact with Miss Davis. They want, like, I was like, oh my God, I love being responsible for stuff. And then I also got elevated into doing a connections class. So that's basically like your electives or whatever. So, like, you know, you have like PE teachers and home ec teachers and stuff. I was actually literally a film and broadcast teacher.
Okay.
So I got responsible for the school news. So every week now we have to come up with a 10-minute product, or the principal is like, girl, what are y'all doing in there? And, like, also I feel like having a deadline, I love that. Like, I was in there like, we gotta get it done. Like, when I'm saying, like, I thought like we were like a real newsy room. Like, I had my kids believing it, and they were going out and finding stories, pitching them, like, shooting. I liked it. So, like, what's your preferred level of responsibility?
I don't think I want too much responsibility. Like,
I love that meme where it's like, accidentally became responsible at work.
Yeah, like, I don't mind being responsible, but because, like, I have a lot of not over other people, but I have a lot of responsibility as a script supervisor over the actual film.
Yeah, the product, the final
product. The product of the film. Like, if it's not for my notes, the editors would be lost, and they wouldn't really know how to clip it together. What takes are the best. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh. Notes. And no, guys, imagine, like, there's movies that people film for years. So imagine how much footage a person would have to go through if there was not notes. To go, okay, we did shoot that scene for 3 days in a row, and we only want day 2 footage to even potentially look at.
So, like, it is a lot of responsibility, and I don't mind that responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
Do you want more?
No.
Okay. So we're in a good range of, like,
but would director be more?
Different. I feel like it's different.
It's a different response. So that's the type of response. Like, I don't mind that responsibility.
And, like, where I think for both of us, because I produced a television show, a docuseries, and you're a script supervisor. More responsibility, I think, for us would be leveling into, like, executive producer. Like, we're actually very much in charge of, like, the final say of a budget.
Yeah.
We're in charge of...
Yeah, I don't want that responsibility.
Like, the whole project. And so, like, I'm a unit production manager. This is very much in my bag. But it's like, it is a lot of responsibility, but I feel like the reward for me as well is like, if I actually win an Emmy, you guys, like that's my Emmy. Like I had total creative control over the product, overseeing that it was gonna look good, that we hired the right cast and like crew and everything. So I think we're both in the right spaces so far for all 4 of our petals, which is really nice to hear. Because, like, I think sometimes we also don't know if we're on track. So, like, this is a good way to figure it out.
And I did want to look into producing, like, probably, like, creative producer or associate producer.
But when I say there's so many spreadsheets, you got to be and I'm not saying this to deter anybody. I'm just giving you the reality of what it is to be a producer. I have so many notes. Like, I literally am constantly writing notes on every single thing. My desk is swamped in sticky notes. I work on several monitors when I'm in the office. I have a Excel sheet for just about anything that you can name. I have a Google Keep that goes so deep. Like, I literally, you could be like, oh yeah, we're gonna need an A7 camera in the graphics department, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to go in Google Keep. It's actually on a blue sticky note. I can contact this email, and like, that's how detailed it is. So like, if you are like,
well, I'm detail oriented, so yeah, because I have to be as a script supervisor.
Yeah, so then that would be like very much in your lane. So like, I think you're in this exercise realizing you could take a little bit more responsibility than maybe even what you thought. Okay. So petal number 1 is, who do we prefer to work around? Is that correct? Do I have that right?
Who we want to work with, yep.
Perfect.
The market type of people.
Petal number 2, what can I do? What do I love to do? What are my skills? Petal number 3, working conditions. Petal number 4, preferred level of responsibility and salary. And I think we're all trying to get a bigger salary. Let's just,
right.
That's why we're here, right? Because if you're listening, you are trying to get better and better. We want more money. We want more money, right? The next one is your preferred places to live. I've experienced this one in several different ways, y'all. I have lived in Michigan. I have lived in Nevada. I've lived in Georgia. I've lived in Florida for a brief period. I have traveled all over, I think. And I want to be in Atlanta. Like, I don't care if that makes me corny, that I want to be in the town that I'm from, in the city that I'm from. But, like, that's just true. I want to be here. So, knowing what I know about the kind of work that I want to do, knowing what I know about the kind of people I want to be around and surround myself with, and then knowing I want to be in Atlanta, I feel like that's helping us to like narrow down, visualize. Yeah. Do you also like being here, or do you see like LA for yourself?
I do. I see LA. I am low-key tired of Atlanta. I'm ready to get out of it.
No, she didn't.
I was convinced to stay because the entertainment industry was, developing here, and it's getting bigger and better. So it's not, it has worked in my favor. You know what I'm saying? Not saying, but I feel like I am ready to experience a new city. Like, I'm from Miami, lived there, don't care to go back down there to live. But I do want to experience living in another city, and I feel like LA could be the next one. And then after that, if it's not like Houston, which I'm like, I just want to move out the country somewhere on somebody's beach and like, still make money here in the States, but live out the country, and then bring my skills there. And who's to say like,
okay, wait, you're going somewhere like really, really perfect. So then now we're literally coming up with a vision. Like, I'm starting to, like, as you're describing it, I'm visualizing it, right? Like, I am seeing like, she wants to be on a beach. She wants to live a life that maybe is like bi-coastal, where she has to work in New York a little bit and then go back to her house in LA, but then maybe she has a project in Atlanta that will allow her to go be in France or Berlin or okay, so then that's like, that also, even though that sounds really broad, I think that helps us to like narrow, okay, you know what you want out of these 5 petals so far, and specifically that you kind of sounds like you want to travel.
Yeah. absolutely.
So that's like even like it's like a funnel, right? Like it feels like a funnel, like we're funneling things down. Okay. So, pedal number 6, my purpose, mission, and values. For this one, everybody, I want you to reflect on what drives you. What are your core values? Like what actually matters to you? Because everything doesn't matter to us and everything doesn't have to matter to us all the time. I'm sorry. We only have so much capacity and so much time in a day. Include thinking about what type of work feels meaningful to you. Think about what contributes to your sense of the world and your sense of fulfillment, right? So like, and I'm, again, just giving y'all my anecdotes as an example to kind of help walk you through it. I knew working jobs where people were not honest, where people were being dishonest, and I'm just going to be so for real, y'all, the music industry. You could get somewhere and everybody's like, are we getting paid?
Yeah, exactly.
Like we all show up to work bright and early and we're like, are we getting paid? Is the person actually going to come?
That is so
like, so I'm like, okay, I have to work somewhere where the work that I do, even though it's entertainment, it needs to be like informational. It needs to be. And so I feel like for me, that was what led me into film actually, was I was like, okay, films teach people things about life. Yeah. Even if it's a silly movie. Like Adam Sandler movies always have a really good message in them. Yeah. Like it doesn't matter like what, I feel like I talk about Adam Sandler on here a lot, by the way. If anybody's like a reoccurring listener, I'm sorry, but I love that man. So it just dawned on me at some point. I was like, okay, I like this stuff, but I think I also need to like stay on the like educational side of it. So I think that was also what kind of helped me to lean into being a teacher. Yeah. Like I actually TA'd at UGA for a while. And as I was teaching like alongside the professor, like teaching these college students, like they were keeping me on my toes. Okay. Those kids, those college kids, they grew up like Googling everything. Like they know the answer to everything. And if they don't know the answer to it, their little stupid thumbs can type the question in Google faster than you can finish your sentence. I swear. They're so good. Like they're so good. So it's like they kept me on my toes. They made me better. So it was like, it's definitely we're sharpening each other's knives. We're making each other stronger. And then again, that work was fulfilling. It wasn't just like, and don't get me wrong, y'all, I love shooting a music video, but it's not just shooting a music video where we're just here to like come up with a really cool aesthetic. It's like, no, I'm actually teaching people like informative ways to live life, or teaching students, you know, how to progress in a career or something. So like, do you have like a mission of a value, like I don't want to say a purpose, because oh my God, what is any of our purpose, right? Like, why are we here? But like anything that sticks out that you're like, this is like a really strong pillar for me. Like this is a thing that's super important.
I wrote down a few. Being an inspiration to young women of color, which these other things can be under that umbrella, which is inclusivity, representation, and then the other one, which is not in the same umbrella, would be making people happy with art. Oh, so
bringing joy.
Yeah.
Oh, because there's nothing better than that. And I think, especially like we went to grad school, so they teach us like a lot of different ways of like how to look at art. But the one thing that they can't tell you is like how to predict how other people are going to interpret it.
Because you never know.
They can teach us where to draw from. But like, I think there's like a lot of magic and a lot of fulfillment in that moment where you know that like you made somebody feel something really, really, really good. Like, oh
yeah. Or made them feel any type of way. Or like if they're going through something and just that little piece of art that you made kind of helped them get out of it or swayed their emotion a different way, you know, just you know what I'm saying, like just
our Summer Walkers, our SZAs, the girls that like we lean on, that maybe we need them to be a little crazy for us. Maybe we need them to sing that sad song so that we can work those tears up and get over that man.
That, or you know, put on a good Glorilla song and you turn up and now you happy in a different mood.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
glory, hallelujah.
Exactly. So just making stuff like that, it brings me joy. For real. But also like being able to inspire other people to show that this is possible. Have you heard of a script supervisor?
I don't know
A
any
music
personally other than
supervisor?
her.
Like, no. And it's like,
Like, I
we
worked
don't
on
know this
sets, and
stuff.
that's the crazy thing is that, y'all, if you work on a set, if you've ever worked on a set, this is an untouchable person. Like, they live in a
Yeah.
little tent. You don't go bother them. Like, you're not supposed to go bother them.
Exactly.
So, like, y'all also aren't people that, like, we get to know. Like, so yeah.
Making people aware that this is something that they can do and can potentially live off of, especially if you go union, stuff like that. So it's just like, you can really representation, man. It's like you hardly see
matters.
us in those positions.
So again, narrowing that funnel is back from the top. Let's go over our petals, y'all. The kind of people she want to work with, fun. The things that she can do, tons of them. Favorite working conditions, we've said like busy, on the go. Preferred levels of responsibility, we can take on a lot. Preferred places to live, preferably less travel, actually.
Traveling.
And then when it comes to a mission, like, okay, I'm out here doing this to show a specific group of people a really specific thing. So like, this is narrowing us down even more. So we are now on our 7th and last, our final petal for the flower exercise. What is your preferred knowledge or field of interest? So what subject areas do you want to like get really, really good at? What things do you want to master? Is that health? Is that education? Is that film? Is that technology? Like what? And I'm going to tell you guys, my special interest, yeah, girl, I'm one of those. My special interest is knowledge. I like knowledge for the sake of knowledge. I would just want to know. Like, I'm the person that literally, I sat down one day and had to Google, how does the electricity get in our light bulbs? Like, I live in Georgia. We live in Atlanta. How does Georgia power, where does it come from? What is the fossil fuel actually? Like,
She's an actual fact checker.
I am a real-time fact checker. Like, we literally have done Google so much today. Like, even oh my God, highest compliment, highest honor. My friends yesterday were like, yeah, you're our actual Google. Like, my cousin even was like, yeah, if they ever bring back Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and they need to phone a friend, I'm calling you. Yeah. Like, I want to know. I want to know. So, like, knowing that I want to know and need to know for me in my instances helps me to figure out, like, okay, I need to be in a job where the most important thing is actually that I'm a know-it-all. So I will tell you guys how that kind of filled out my petals. But first, I want to hear from you, honestly. What is your preferred field of interest?
I put film and entertainment. It's always been that. It's been music, but when doing all the self-reflections, it's much bigger than just music. And I think it's just entertainment, period. Like, just being able to, like, I have a goal in life, and I kind of don't want to say it because I don't need nobody cursing it.
Yeah.
But
Evil eye.
exactly. But I have a goal to be one of the greatest at all things entertainment.
Yes. And for me, so to round all of that out, we filled out all 7 of our petals. And I think what you just said was something that I also felt really early on in my career. It's like, I want to be one of the greatest, but like, you want to be out front and I really don't want to be out front. So like, for me, I'm like, okay, I want to be one of the greatest in my industry, but I only want the people in my industry to know me. I really don't actually want other people to know me. Yeah. I want to work around fun people who are a little bit crazy. I'm an ex-theater kid, an ex-band geek. I want to work around those people. I know I'm good at a lot of things. I want to try a lot of things. I know that I like a fast-paced working environment. I want to be super responsible for stuff. I want to live in Atlanta. And then I want to do something that's educational, that's providing a service to the world. Very specifically, when I look at all of those petals, the thing that fit in the middle immediately was being a producer. Like, that is the one job that people actually are begging you know it all. Yeah. Like, we want our producers to be the most knowledgeable person in the room. Like, I don't really necessarily crave like large recognition, but I do want people that are in my industry to know like, oh yeah, no, she's on it. She's on the ball. So like this hopefully like funneled some things down. So like in your 7 petals, if you look to the middle, what are some like jobs that can get you these things that you want? Like what does that look like? Like we're in a room, people are clapping for you. What did you just do?
I put on a very dynamic performance in a very sought out movie.
Oh my God. But no, what's okay. And honestly, I've never been able to put words to it until she just said that. And I'm like looking at you. Performance art. It's something with performance art. And you're going to do something very specific with, I don't know what that is. But like, again, y'all, we just sat here for the last, it maybe was what, 5-7 minutes. We went through our 7 petals. And like now we're like, okay, there's a specific vision for that. And so now it's really just like filling that out and then getting over the hump to what that is. I love that. So yes, that is the flower exercise. That's how you go through your petals. So hopefully if y'all were taking notes, you know, you want to write those things down. And I actually should go through them one more time, right? Probably pull those 7 petals. Okay. So first petal is the preferred kinds of people that you want to work with. Second petal is your skills. Third petal is your favorite working conditions. Fourth petal, preferred level of responsibility and salary. I feel like that'll narrow a lot of stuff down. If you after the money, y'all, it's only so many ways you can go. And if you're not, it might open up some options. I don't know. Petal 5, preferred place to live. Petal 6, what's your purpose, your mission, your value, whichever of those you resonate with the most. And then petal 7 is your preferred field of interest. So I feel like if you can fill those out, it almost tells you like there's only like 4 jobs you could do that would allow you to get those types of fulfillment in all of those different things. Love that.
What book that was from? What color is your parachute?
What color is your parachute? Yes. And the one that I read was a while back. This was the 2020 version of What Color Is Your Parachute. Right now it's 2024. And right now I can say I'm living it.
Okay.
I'm living it. After having gone through this exercise and done the things in this book, I can actually tell you guys, I work so hard. I work a full-time job. Then I'm doing this, which is also, I'm learning a full-time job. I'm sending out email correspondence. I am responsible for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm never tired. Like, I get sleepy? Obviously. Yeah. But like my cup is always full. Like I'm never at a point where I'm like, I need to call out. I never need to call out. I actually am going in on Saturday. Like, did y'all need an extra hand? Because like my petals are there. Like I have it. So it's like, they don't know this, but they're actually paying me to do something I would do for free. Like they don't know it. Don't tell them, girl. Don't tell them. But like, they're paying me to do something that I would just do for free. I would just volunteer to do. Yeah. So like, I think once you can figure out what those things are, especially if you can identify like a job title or even create a job, like and create some demand for whatever this thing is that you want to do, like that's what you get to live is like an endlessly full cup. Yeah. So read the book if y'all want to read the book, but definitely do the exercise.
I'm gonna read the book.
This is a lot. And we've been talking about picking and pursuing passions. And obviously when you have a lot of skills, because I think that's where a lot of people will probably get hung up. It's like, but I have so many skills. And I've always heard that whole like, what is it? Jack of all trade, master of none.
But oftentimes better than a master of one.
Exactly.
They left out that last part.
Which that is the most important part.
Exactly.
And that brings me to my question is, what advice do you give to someone who feels overwhelmed by pursuing multiple passions at once?
Advice, because I mean I get overwhelmed a lot, but I think at a time you can just focus on one thing, you know, like I haven't done music in a long time. Last year I started doing Music Mondays. I would record a cover every Monday and that fell off for various reasons, but you know, I was doing that, trying to pick back up on music, and then I kind of just focused on just, doing movies and making my connections there and pivoting to that area and whatnot. But I guess just focusing on something for the time being, kind of like whatever the season you're in, focus on that, I suppose. And if you can schedule it multiple throughout, even if it's like weekly or every other day, like alternating, you know what I'm saying? Because I have different calendars that do that. Like, oh, from this time to this time you can work on this, or this week, focus on this, and then this day you focus on this. So
those
you
scales,
can do that.
it's those scales again. It's not everything at once. It's
Right.
Sometimes I am more of a musician. Sometimes
Right.
I am more of a filmmaker.
Exactly.
Sometimes I'm just a girl and I need to go to sleep.
Exactly.
And that's balance. That's the real balance. But, and I want to get to this whole thing as a script supervisor, and because you're real famous, girl. She has worked on some really great projects. We're going to talk about that in a second. But before we move forward, you were talking about the music. You done with the music? You putting down the music? Like, where are we headed with
music?
Honesty B is an artist. We've been talking about she as an actress. So
yeah. No, I have not put down the music, and I will say just a tidbit. One of the reasons why I am more prone into becoming an actress is because I can utilize all my skills as an actress, because you just never know what part is going to require the skill that you already have. And being that I have so many skills, you can see that on Actors Access at the bottom, skills, and it's like a list that you can choose of things that you can do. So then that makes you more desirable for a character that can do these things versus someone that doesn't. For instance, they ask if you have an accent. I have a Caribbean accent. I could turn it off and on, but that may work for a certain character. So
it can qualify you for certain things and to be in certain spaces.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, I can't, so I don't have to put things down. It could just be for the time being, but depending on if the character needs it and I already have it, why not be an actress? I'm not putting I say that to say, no, I'm not putting the music down. I am working on putting out 2 songs by the end of the year. It's already the fucking end of the year, but I'm gonna put them out.
Q4, y'all. Q4 is crazy.
Q4.
Yes.
I got 2 songs. I got one that's done. I can press submit and it'll be out.
Hopefully she'll let me sneak peek it, right?
Yeah, I have one that's done that doesn't need any tweaks, but there's another one that has a few tweaks that I'm working on with the engineer, and it will be premiering on a movie that I worked on. I got placement for that song that's not even out yet, on a movie that I worked on last December as a script supervisor. Like I said, getting to know these directors and other music supervisors and executive producers and things of that nature, I can network. So I did, and one of my songs got placed, and it will air on TV on BET Plus. So we
have a real celebrity in our midst. Like, I just want to point that out. Like, for our very first guest,
let me tell you. Okay, when I tell you who's one of the star actors in it, you're gonna be fucking floored.
Oh God, who?
Like my childhood was like working with him. It was like, oh my gosh, I had the biggest crush on you growing up. Mario.
No, I swear I was thinking that. I swear I was
Mario.
Of all people, like, that's so random, but I swear I was thinking that. Oh, I die.
Oh my gosh.
Did he smell good? How was it, girl?
Oh my gosh.
The important questions, y'all. This is real journalism.
I can't remember how he smelled. I don't remember how he smelled, but he was a really cool person. He's very intellectual. Like, he's very smart. He's spiritually smart. He reads a lot. He was just a cool all around person, and then he sound like he has auto-tune in his throat. Like,
that was my literal next question. I'm like, I bet he had the most buttery voice. Like, how was the conversation?
It was great conversation. So I said I don't want to be humble no more, so I ain't gonna be humble no more. So I get a lot from artists, meaning the artists. they are drawn to me. People are drawn to me. Even though
They are, no, factually. And like I want to point out, Honesty is a person that literally will stand in a corner with her arms crossed. And like it'll just happen. I feel like, and the funny thing is, like, I feel like that also is the case for me, but I know that's largely because of like my big bubbly personality. Like, I'm a little in your face. Like, I'm again ex theater kid. I'm like, hi, I want to, like, yeah. She's very much the opposite. Sweet personality, but just reserved.
Be reserved to myself, won't say anything.
She'll be looking for an opportunity to find a corner.
Yeah.
And like people be like, oh my God. Like,
who are you? What is your name? I feel like I need to know you. What do you do? What do you do? And that happens to me a lot on productions. And it be so much so, like you said, people don't mess with script supervisors. And it'll be a thing where people like, you know, I know I ain't supposed to talk to you, or, you know, I'm supposed to leave you alone, but I just feel like I need to know you. Like,
you have an important phase. I don't know how to explain this, but like she has like, an important phase.
It's not weird, but so that was the case for Mario. Like, he felt like the vibe, he read my aura and things of that nature, and he was just like, I just feel like you're so cool, whatever, Like, we were so cool on set. Like, it was
Mario
really cool.
read your aura. Do you have it? Like, was it a color? Like, what did he say? Like,
I don't remember. I don't think he said a color or whatever, but he was just like, you just really warm. Like, you really, like, you seem like you're pretty dope. You're good at what you do. Like, what's, you know what I'm saying? And when we
give her tens, like, yes, Mario.
So when we like, cause I don't sit here and be like off the cusp, like, oh, I do music, I do this, I do that. Like, I wait for the proper time. You know what I'm saying? So knowing that Mario is an artist, that would just be so like tacky to be like,
oh yeah, no. And we're Atlanta girls for real. Like, you can't walk up to people and be like, oh my God, I need to know you. You need to know me.
It's yeah.
That's so very tacky.
I didn't off the cusp, but like after a few days of working with him and knowing him and getting to know each other, that's when I was like, because he's like, you know, what else you do? And I'm like, oh, I do this. I can sing. And he was like, oh, you can sing? Like, give me a person that you sound like. And I'm like, me personally, I don't think I sound like anybody, but people will say, and I was like, some people will say Erykah Badu.
Yeah, she has a voice that belongs on a record, not a CD, right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to explain to him, kind of like that, because I was like, I do have a jazzy voice. Some people have said Erykah Badu. And I'm like trying to think of a newer artist, and I'm like, okay, Cleo Soul. I don't sound like Cleo Soul, but totally the voice tone, and then like it's still like modern R&B almost. So I was like, that was the best I can give. And then I played the song, and I sent him the song or whatever. He really liked it and whatnot. Like,
he liked her song, y'all. Mario liked her song. This part.
I sent Mario the song.
Unprovoked. He's just like, hey, just little.
He was like, hey, send me your song. And I was going to like airdrop it.
She did not airdrop it. Make of that what y'all will, y'all. Make of that what y'all will.
So that song is going on the soundtrack. I know people don't have soundtrack nowadays, but it's going on a soundtrack that's going to have Mario songs on it. Like, I'm just saying. Oh my God. I'm just saying. So the music is not put down. It's just really, like I said, working on balancing everything, finding a studio home, and just really being able to hone in on making music fun versus, oh, I gotta get this, and just making it, and then really honing in on those connections that I have where I can just hit somebody up and like, hey, you need music for a film? Here are some options.
Good songs. And then, I mean, I'm totally with you on the make music fun again, because it's so, right now, it's like everybody's ops and everybody's so serious. Like, the girls are doing a really good job right now. And so
they are.
Hearing that you're like getting back out there, you're getting your music back out there, is like such a, like, a relief. It's a relief to hear that you're like focusing on your art.
And it's a totally different genre from what's out now. Like, what I put out, remember, it was like very jazzy, very like, you know, now it's not even that.
I'm excited, you guys. I don't even know what to expect. Like, I literally have no clue what to expect. So I am lit. I'm excited. You have told us a lot about your work in music. We started talking a little bit about your work in film, and I want to return back to that. What has your work as a script supervisor told you or taught you about storytelling and filmmaking?
I started writing this year, and which is crazy.
Wait, what are you writing?
A few scripts, some stories, some maybe a play, maybe
I'm
a
sad, y'all.
TV, episodic, maybe a film. So I have so many ideas, but what I've learned just like observing, because you have to be an observer and have OCD as a script supervisor, but observing like directors, observing the scripts that I'm reading and really paying attention, just observing production and things of that nature. It just really like I never saw myself writing scripts like a playwright at all. And when I started doing it, I was like, oh, I kind of already know how to do it, because it's just like subconsciously I read scripts all the time. So it's kind of like I know
What it looks like,
what it looks like, how it
the
flows.
structure, whatever. So like the literal skills, like reading. So I guess that's a good point. Is like reading scripts actually built your skills as a storyteller and as a writer.
Yeah.
So my takeaway from that very, very quickly, y'all, if you want to be a writer, you need to be a reader.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. You need to, yeah. But I also have learned, like, being on set and observing, like I said, the directors with the actors and things of that nature, like just picking up on different skills and different ways to do different things as an actor on set, and then how to treat people on set and how to treat your crew on set.
And sometimes what we learn on set for people is a how not to.
Exactly.
Because there's been some that I've done and I'm like, oh, when I'm in that position, I'm gonna be better to people.
Yeah, but the feedback I'm getting is really like, I don't know, it's boosting my confidence. I'm just saying, it's because it's like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought. And I'm like, is the conversation good? Like, can you like see and visualize the character? Does do these characters have their own voices? Yeah. So I'm just like, yeah. So I would say the biggest thing is really learning how to write for myself and just how to run a production.
Yeah. So what were some memorable stuff from Waterboy?
Oh my gosh.
Like, give us the little premise really quick, y'all. This was with Quavo. So give us the premise of the movie and like what was like highlights?
Majority of the film was outside. Oh my gosh. Of course, because it's about the Water Boys. And Water Boys in the summer. We filmed it July and August.
And then mind you guys, let's bring back something earlier in the conversation. 12-hour minimum.
Yes, 12 hours minimum days. So like I will never forget, because it's like I was trying to be as professional as I could with what I wore every day. But
how professional can we be on set? Like what?
I would go out there with a sports bra and biker shorts. We were outside. Nice.
Quavo has seen her in a sports bra is what I took away from that.
But no, it was one of the best crews I've worked with. I would say that was memorable about it was a great working environment as far as like crew goes.
And then last but not least, I think to wrap this up, this is a perfect question for us and to help you fulfill your purpose of things and inspiring young women. What is one piece of advice that you would give to young women who are pursuing multiple passions?
Follow your intuition, follow your gut, and don't stop at anything. Don't let no one stop you. Even if it's negative, all the things, be human, go through your emotions, do what you got to do, but just know what's for you is for you, and it'll always come to you no matter what. So don't give up on doing it. And if it's multiple things that you want to do, try them all and see which one lands you the bag. And then
roll all the dice thereafter, like Rihanna did. Okay, she started off with music, now she got lingerie, beauty, perfume, all the things. Beyonce the same. So like, yeah, roll all the dice, stay true to yourself,
don't give up on yourself,
and don't give up. Pick all your passions. And hopefully this flower exercise, hopefully the things that we've taught you guys today are some things that will be helpful in helping you to get better and badder. This was Picking and Pursuing Your Passions with the very famous, very gorgeous, very amazing Honesty B. Hopefully y'all will join us next time. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me. It really means a lot, for real.
You're going to make us better and badder.
Hey.